The brass gleamed under fluorescent lights in Colonel Olivia Ward's cramped Pentagon office. 20 years of service medals caught the morning sun streaming through bulletproof windows. Today was different. Today, the phone call she'd been waiting for would finally come. Her fingers traced the edges of a photograph on her desk. Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen smiled back at her from the frame. Kia, Afghanistan, 2019. The phone rang like a gunshot in the silence. Colonel Ward speaking. Congratulations, General Ward. The words hit her like incoming artillery. General. After 2 decades of proving herself, of bleeding for her country, of being told by her own family that there was no room. No room for a daughter who chose fatigues over wedding dresses. No room for a sister who picked military bases over family barbecues. No room for Olivia. She set the phone down with trembling hands. The promotion ceremony was scheduled for next Friday at the Pentagon. Full military honors, press coverage, the works. Her parents would see it on the news, just like everything else. From a distance, just like they preferred. The memory crashed over her like a rogue wave. Thanksgiving dinner, 2003, fresh out of West Point. Her father's voice, sharp as broken glass cutting through holiday cheer. There's no room for you at this table, Olivia. Not when you're wearing that uniform. Her mother's silence had been louder than any scream. Her brother Marcus had just kept eating his turkey. Like she was already gone. Like she was already dead. 20 years later, those words still echoed in the hollow spaces. The spaces where family should have been. Where support should have lived. Where love should have grown. Instead, she found family in foxholes and mess halls. In soldiers who had her back when bullets flew. In Marines who wrote letters home about the officer who never left. Who never abandoned her people. Even when her own people abandoned her. The intercom buzzed. General Ward, there's a call for you on line 2. Personal call. Olivia's blood turned to ice water in her veins. Nobody called her personal line except military personnel. And they used her official number. She picked up the receiver like it might explode. Hello. Livy. Her mother's voice, sweet as poisoned honey, after 20 years of silence. We saw the news, sweetheart. About your promotion. Olivia's grip tightened on the phone until her knuckles went white. Mom, we're so proud of you, honey. Your father wants to talk. The line crackled as the phone changed hands. Her father's voice boomed through the speaker. General Ward. My daughter, the general. We're driving down for the ceremony, of course. The whole family will be there. Marcus is bringing the kids. Sarah's flying in from California. We wouldn't miss this for the world. Olivia felt something cold and sharp twist in her chest. Like shrapnel working its way toward her heart. There's no room for you, she whispered. What's that, honey? Nothing, Dad. We'll see you Friday. Front row seats. The line went dead. Olivia stared at the phone for a full minute. 20 years. 20 years of radio silence. 20 years of returned Christmas cards. 20 years of ignored deployment notices. 20 years of being told there was no room. And now they wanted front row seats. She pulled out her desk drawer and retrieved another photograph. This one showed her whole platoon from her first tour in Iraq. 12 faces staring back at her. Only 4 of them made it home. These were the faces that mattered. These were the people who made room. Who made space. Who made family out of nothing but mud and courage. Her assistant knocked on the door frame. General, the Pentagon wants your guest list by end of day. For the ceremony. Olivia looked at the photo again. At Marcus Chen's smile. At Lieutenant Rodriguez's determined eyes. At Corporal Williams' infectious grin. All gone now. All buried in foreign soil. But never forgotten. Never abandoned. She picked up her pen and started writing. The guest list would be short, but it would be real. It would be earned. It would be family. The kind of family that shows up when it matters. Not just when the cameras roll. Outside her window, Arlington National Cemetery stretched toward the horizon. Row after row of white marble headstones. Her real family. The ones who made room for her in their final formation. The ones who would understand what this star really meant. What it really cost. Friday was coming fast. And Olivia Ward was ready for war. Not the kind fought with bullets and bombs, but the kind fought with truth and boundaries. The kind fought with dignity. The hardest war of all. The war for respect. For recognition. For the right to define family on her own terms. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Can't wait to see our star, sis. Marcus. Her brother who never called. Never wrote. Never cared. Until now. Until the cameras were rolling. Until there was glory to share. Olivia deleted the message without responding. Some doors, once slammed, should stay closed. Some rooms, once declared empty, should remain that way. Some families, once fractured, can't be glued back together. Not with ceremony. Not with cameras. Not with convenient timing. She had a speech to write. A truth to tell. A boundary to draw. In permanent ink. With the whole world watching. Friday couldn't come fast enough. The Pentagon's corridors stretched like cathedral aisles before General Olivia Ward. Each footstep echoed against marble floors that had witnessed decades of history. But tonight, the halls belonged to the ghosts. The portraits lined the walls like a sacred gallery. Faces of the fallen stared back at her with eternal youth. Heroes who would never age, never gray, never forget their purpose. Olivia paused before the first frame. Captain Sarah Miller, 82nd Airborne Division. Kia Kandahar Province, Afghanistan, March 15th, 2018. The photograph captured Sarah's infectious grin perfectly. That same smile that could light up a bunker during artillery barrages. The same smile that saved Olivia's life. The memory hit her like incoming mortar fire. The 15th of March, 2018, 0347 hours. Forward Operating Base Chapman. The Taliban attack came in waves across the desert floor. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. Sarah's voice crackled through the radio static. Ward, you've got 3 tangos moving on your 6. I'm coming to get you. Olivia had been pinned down behind a concrete barrier. Bullets chewed chunks out of the wall above her head. Her ammunition was running critically low. Fear tasted like copper pennies in her mouth. Then Sarah appeared like an avenging angel in desert camouflage, diving through gunfire to reach her position. Stay low, Liv. We're going home together tonight. Sarah's M4 carbine barked rapid fire into the darkness, covering Olivia's retreat to safety. That was Sarah Miller. Always putting others first. Always finding a way to laugh in hell. You know what I miss most about home? Sarah had said. They were sharing cold MREs in a sandstorm later that week. My mom's apple pie. And the way she'd leave the windows open during summer storms? Olivia smiled at the memory. What about you, Ward? What do you miss? Honestly? Nothing. Sarah's laugh had echoed across the desert. Come on, there's gotta be something. Family dinners? Holiday traditions? Christmas morning? Not when you're not invited to any of them. Sarah's expression had shifted from humor to understanding. Their loss, Liv. Their massive, stupid, unforgivable loss. 3 days later, Sarah was gone. An IED buried in the road during a routine patrol. No time for goodbyes. No final words. Just silence where laughter used to live. Olivia's fingers traced the edge of Sarah's portrait frame. The tears came without warning. Hot, and fast, and 20 years overdue. I got my star, Sarah. General Ward. Can you believe it? Her voice cracked in the empty hallway. My family wants to claim credit now. After 20 years of telling me there's no room. The marble walls absorbed her whisper. They never knew you existed. Never heard your name. Never cared about the friends who became my real family. She moved to the next portrait. Lieutenant Colonel James Rodriguez, Marine Corps Infantry. The man who taught her how to lead from the front. How to earn respect through action, not words. Death before dishonor, Rodriguez always said. His memorial service had filled Arlington National Cemetery. Hundreds of Marines paying their final respects. But Olivia's own blood relatives had never even sent condolences. Further down the corridor, more faces watched her pass. Sergeant First Class David Kim. Corporal Maria Santos. Master Sergeant Robert Johnson. Each portrait told a story of sacrifice, of courage under fire, of bonds forged in combat that death couldn't break. These were the faces her family would never understand, the names they would never know, the sacrifices they would never honor. Olivia stopped before the largest portrait at the corridor's end. Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen smiled back at her. The same photo from her office desk. The same face that haunted her dreams. Marcus had been more than a soldier under her command. He had been hope incarnate. 22 years old with dreams bigger than the desert. I'm going to be a teacher, Colonel, he had told her. When this deployment ends. Going to teach kids about geography. Show them there's a whole world out there. Marcus never made it to that classroom. A sniper's bullet in Helmand Province. Gone at 22. All those geography lessons trapped forever in silence. They want front row seats, Marcus. After 20 years of empty chairs at every milestone, every promotion ceremony, every award presentation, her reflection stared back at her from the portrait's glass. A woman shaped by war and hardened by abandonment, but softened by the love of brothers and sisters in arms. They think they can just show up now. Claim credit for something they never supported. Smile for the cameras like they were always proud. The hallway felt sacred around her. A temple to the fallen. A sanctuary for the forgotten. I won't let them cheapen your sacrifice. Won't let them use your memory for their photo opportunity. Her phone buzzed with another family text message. She deleted it without reading. Some conversations belong to the living, but some promises belong to the dead. And Olivia Ward had promises to keep. The ceremony was in 3 days. 3 days to prepare for the hardest battle of her career. Not against foreign enemies or insurgent forces, but against people who shared her blood, who shared her name, who shared nothing else that mattered. She straightened her shoulders and continued down the corridor. Past portraits of heroes her family would never understand. Past sacrifices they would never appreciate. Past love they would never comprehend. The ghosts marched beside her. Silent witnesses to 20 years of service. 20 years of loyalty. 20 years of proving that family is earned. Not inherited. Friday was coming. And General Olivia Ward was ready to defend what mattered most. The memory of those who made room, when her own blood never would. The modest apartment reflected 20 years of military simplicity. No family photos cluttered the mantelpiece. No heirloom china gathered dust in cabinets. Just clean lines, functional furniture, and earned respect displayed with quiet pride. General Olivia Ward set 5 places at her small dining table. 4 for the comrades who had confirmed attendance tonight. 1 for the ghost who never would. The empty chair faced the head of the table. Where her father should have Saturday, Colonel Thomas Ward, Army Infantry, Vietnam veteran. Dead 3 years now from a heart attack. He had died without ever calling her general. Without ever saying he was proud. Without ever admitting he was wrong. The doorbell rang at precisely 1,900 hours. Military punctuality never died, even in civilian clothes. Retired Master Sergeant Jake Williams arrived first. Graying temples and a firm handshake. Congratulations, General. About damn time they recognized what we already knew. Major Rebecca Santos followed 5 minutes later. Purple Heart recipient from Iraq. Live, you magnificent woman. I brought bourbon. The good stuff. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Thompson completed the gathering. 30-year veteran with laugh lines, earned in 3 combat zones. General Ward. Has a nice ring to it. They settled around the table like family. Real family. The kind forged in fire and tested under pressure. Olivia poured 4 glasses of bourbon. Left the 5th glass empty. To absent friends, she raised her glass. To absent friends, they echoed. The amber liquid burned warm down their throats. Stories began flowing like old wounds finally healing. Jake recounted the time Olivia carried a wounded Marine across 2 miles. Rebecca shared memories of their first deployment together. Mike described how Olivia had saved his career with a single phone call. The apartment filled with laughter. With understanding. With the kind of love that asks for nothing in return. Then the front door burst open. No knock. No invitation. No respect for boundaries. Surprise. Olivia's mother swept in like a perfumed hurricane. Designer dress, fake pearls, and champagne bottles clutched in manicured hands. Her brother Marcus followed with his wife and teenage sons. Arms loaded with gift bags and congratulatory balloons. We couldn't wait until Friday, sweetheart. We had to celebrate with our general tonight. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Olivia's comrades shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. These strangers had invaded sacred space. Mom, what are you doing here? How did you get in? Her mother's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. You gave me a key 20 years ago, remember? Before you left for that first deployment. I kept it all these years. Just in case. Marcus stepped forward with his $1 million smile. Look at this place, sis. Still living like a monk. We brought champagne. Dom Perignon. Only the best for our family hero. Olivia's jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. Her mother began rearranging the table settings. Moving plates and glasses without permission. Who are these people, dear? Friends from work. We'll need more chairs. This is a family celebration now. Rebecca Santos stood slowly. Hand instinctively moving toward where her sidearm used to rest. Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding at all. Olivia's mother smiled with predatory sweetness. This is a private family moment. I'm sure you understand. Jake Williams pushed back from the table. 3 decades of military bearing couldn't hide his anger. General Ward, we should probably go. Number. Olivia's voice cut through the tension like a blade. You stay. They leave. Her mother's face flushed with indignation. Olivia Marie Ward. How dare you speak to your family that way? We drove all the way from Richmond. We brought gifts. We brought celebration. You brought nothing. Olivia stood with the authority of 20 years command experience. You brought nothing for 20 years. No Christmas cards. No birthday calls. No support during 3 combat deployments. Marcus stepped between them. Come on, Liv. That's ancient history. We're here now. We're proud of you now. Now. The word hung in the air like smoke from a battlefield. Now that there are cameras involved. Now that there's glory to steal. Now that it serves your purposes. Her mother's voice turned shrill. That's not fair, Olivia. We've always been proud. We just disagreed with your choices. You disagreed with my existence. Olivia moved toward the empty chair. Her father's chair. He died without ever calling me general. without ever acknowledging what I accomplished, without ever saying he was wrong about me. And you want to celebrate now. The silence stretched taut as piano wire. Her mother's champagne bottles seemed suddenly heavy in her hands. There's no room for you here. Olivia's words landed like artillery shells. Not at this table. Not in this celebration. Not in my life. You only show up when there's glory to steal. When there's credit to claim. When there are cameras rolling. Marcus tried one last time. Livy, we're family. Blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water. Olivia looked at Jake, Rebecca, and Mike. Men and women who had bled beside her. Who had earned their place through sacrifice. You're right, Marcus. Blood is thicker than water. But the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. She gestured toward her comrades. These people shed blood with me. For me. Because of me. That makes them family. You just share my DNA. Her mother's face crumpled. Olivia, please. We came to apologize. To make things right. 20 years too late. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Some words, once spoken, can't be taken back. The apartment fell silent except for the ticking clock. Her family stood frozen in the wreckage of their assumptions. Friday's ceremony is invite only. Your names aren't on the list. They never will be. Marcus dropped his gift bags. You'll regret this, Liv. When we're gone, you'll regret this. I've lived with regret for 20 years. But not anymore. Not today. Not ever again. One by one, they filed out. No goodbye hugs. No apologies. No acknowledgement of the damage done. The door closed with finality. Olivia returned to the table. To her real family. Now where were we? Rebecca poured fresh bourbon all around. To chosen family. To earned respect. To the general who finally came home. Arlington National Cemetery stretched endlessly under the April afternoon Sunday. White marble headstones stood at perfect attention across emerald hills. General Olivia Ward walked the familiar paths between rows of honor. This place felt more like home than any house ever had. Here, the fallen rested in formations that would never break. Here, service meant something eternal. Live, you beautiful, stubborn warrior. The voice called out from behind a towering oak tree. Captain Diana Torres emerged with a grin wide as Texas. First female Army Ranger, retired after losing her left leg in Syria. I heard through the grapevine about your promotion. About time, the Pentagon caught up with reality. Olivia's face broke into the first genuine smile in days. Torres, you magnificent troublemaker. What are you doing here? Same thing you are, I suspect. Diana gestured toward the cemetery with her prosthetic leg. Paying respects to the family that matters. Plus, I knew you'd be here eventually. You always come here when you need to think straight. Two more figures approached from different directions. Master Sergeant Carmen Rodriguez, Marine Corps Logistics Specialist. The woman who once rigged a helicopter in hostile territory. Look what the cat dragged in. Our little colonel finally made general. Behind her walked Lieutenant Colonel Ashley Kim, Air Force pilot. Shot down over Afghanistan, walked 30 miles to safety. Group reunion at Arlington. Just like old times. Except we're all grayer and creakier now. The four women formed a loose circle near the tomb. Sisters forged in combat, tested under fire. Each carrying invisible scars and visible strength. So I heard your biological specimen showed up uninvited yesterday. Diana's Texas drawl made everything sound like gentle mockery. Torres, how do you already know about that? Honey, the military is smaller than a small town. News travels faster than gossip at a church social. Carmen laughed, a sound like music after thunderstorms. Did you really tell them there was no room? After 20 years of them saying the same thing. Poetry in motion, if you ask me. Ashley pulled a flask from her jacket pocket. Silver metal engraved with Air Force wings. I brought provisions for a proper toast. Kentucky bourbon, age 12 years. Like us, but smoother around the edges. They passed the flask in ceremonial order, each taking a sip, each holding the burn. Diana went first, raising the medal to eye level. To Captain Sarah Miller, who saved our collective bacon in Kandahar. To Lieutenant Rodriguez, who taught us courage, has a Marine accent. Carmen took the flask next. To every night we laughed when we should have cried. To every morning we got up, when staying down seemed easier. Ashley followed with practiced military precision. To the best wing women a pilot could ask for. To surviving what was supposed to kill us. Olivia received the flask last. Her hands trembled slightly as she raised it. To choosing family over blood. To writing our own definition of what matters. The bourbon traced fire down 4 throats. 4 women who had learned to find joy in impossible places. Remember that night in Iraq when the generator died? Carmen's eyes sparkled with mischief. Middle of summer, hotter than Satan's armpit. And Torres decided we needed a talent show. Diana threw back her head and laughed. Hey, morale was at rock bottom. Sometimes you fight depression with ridiculous. I still can't believe you convinced Kim to sing karaoke. Ashley covered her face with both hands. I was delirious from heat exhaustion. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. You sang Dolly Parton for 2 straight hours. 9 to 5, on repeat. The whole base was singing along by midnight. Olivia felt her chest loosen for the first time in days. Rodriguez, you did that interpretive dance to Metallica. Enter Sandman performed with military precision. I have never laughed so hard in my life. We were supposed to be miserable. Instead, we created our own USO show. The memories flowed like water after drought. Story after story of finding light in darkness. Of manufacturing hope from raw materials. Of building family from friendship and fire. You know what I realized yesterday? Olivia said quietly. When my mother walked into my apartment uninvited. She looked around like she was visiting a stranger. Because she was. Diana nodded with understanding that went bone deep. Blood doesn't make family live. Showing up makes family. Being there when it matters makes family. Having each other's backs makes family. Carmen passed the flask around again. My biological father never understood why I joined the Corps. Said I was throwing my life away. Then he tried to claim credit when I got promoted. Sound familiar? Ashley leaned against the oak tree. My parents disowned me when I came out. Said I was embarrassing the family name. Now they want to be in my wedding photos. Because my fiancé is a successful doctor. Funny how acceptance follows success. Olivia looked at these 3 women. Battle-tested, life-scarred, absolutely unbreakable. My family thinks they can just show up Friday. Walk into my promotion ceremony like they belonged there. Like they earned the right to share my moment. Over my dead body. Diana grinned with predatory satisfaction. Want us to provide security. We could accidentally block some entrances. Create some logistical difficulties. I love you for offering. But this is something I need to handle myself. With words, not weapons. Though the impulse is appreciated. They stood in comfortable silence. 4 women who had conquered foreign battlefields. Who had survived what was designed to destroy them. Who had learned that the strongest bonds aren't born. They're forged. To Friday, Ashley raised the flask one final time. To General Olivia Ward. To the family we chose. To the family that chose us back. To proving that blood isn't always family. But family is always blood. The kind that matters. The kind that's earned. The kind that lasts. The flask went around one last time. 4 sips of liquid courage. 4 women ready for whatever came next. Friday was 2 days away. But Olivia Ward was no longer facing it alone. She had her sisters. Her real sisters. The ones who would always make room. Always show up. Always understand. The ones who wrote their own definition of family. In permanent ink. With unbreakable bonds. In the shadow of Arlington's eternal guardians. Where service never dies. And family never ends. The phone call came on a Tuesday morning at 0630 hours. General Olivia Ward was reviewing intelligence briefings when her secretary knocked. "General, you have an urgent personal call." Line 2. Olivia's stomach clenched as she lifted the receiver. Family emergencies always came at the worst possible moments. "Hello." "Olivia, thank God you answered." Her sister Sarah's voice cracked with manufactured tears. "It's Mom. She collapsed yesterday evening. The doctors aren't sure she'll make it through the week." Ice water flooded Olivia's veins. Despite everything, maternal bonds ran deeper than conscious anger. "What hospital?" "Richmond General, ICU Unit 3. She's been asking for you." "Keep saying your name." The drive from Washington to Richmond took 97 minutes. Olivia pushed her government sedan through Virginia highways. Emergency flashers cutting through morning traffic. 20 years of resentment, Ward with daughterly duty. Blood might not make family, but it still called. Richmond General Hospital loomed gray against overcast skies. Olivia parked and ran toward the main entrance. White coat efficiency guided her to the 3rd-floor ICU. Her heart hammered against her ribs like incoming artillery. The elevator doors opened onto a scene of family gathering, but not around a hospital bed. Around a mahogany conference table in a sterile meeting room. Her mother sat perfectly healthy at the table's head. No oxygen tubes, no hospital gown, no medical emergency. Just Eleanor Ward in her finest black dress. Surrounded by lawyers, documents, and predatory smiles. "Olivia, darling. So glad you could make it. Please sit down." The trap snapped shut with legal precision. Her brother Marcus rose from his chair like a prosecuting attorney. "Now that everyone's here, we can begin." The reading of Colonel Thomas Ward's last will and testament. Olivia remained standing near the doorway. Every military instinct screamed danger. "You lead about Mom being sick. To trick me into coming here." Sarah's fake tears had dried completely. "We needed you present for the will reading. Legal requirements and all. Surely you understand protocol, General." The family lawyer, a thin man with reptilian eyes, cleared his throat. "Miss Ward, if you would please take a seat. We have considerable business to discuss. Considerable assets to distribute." Olivia scanned the room like a battlefield assessment. Marcus wore his most expensive suit and smuggest expression. Sarah clutched a designer handbag like armor. Her mother's eyes glittered with anticipated victory. "I'll stand, thanks. This won't take long." The lawyer opened a thick folder with theatrical precision. Colonel Ward's estate is valued at approximately $2.7 million, including the family home, investment portfolios, and military pension benefits. To be divided among his surviving family members. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Funny how Dad's generosity extends even to his disappointing children. Even to daughters who chose uniforms over family dinners. Of course, military service has its financial compensations. General's salary must be quite comfortable. The implication hung in the air like poison gas. That Olivia's grief was motivated by money. That her service was calculated greed. That her uniform was just a shield for cash. "Your father," the lawyer continued, "made specific provisions. The house goes to Marcus as the eldest son. Investment accounts split between Eleanor and Sarah. Military memorabilia and personal effects to be distributed equally. Except for one item. He produced a sealed envelope from the folder. This letter was to be given specifically to Olivia, with instructions to read it aloud to the family. Marcus snorted with derision. Probably an apology for wasting taxpayer money on her career? Or instructions on how to properly fold a flag. Olivia took the envelope with steady hands. Her father's handwriting sprawled across the front. For my daughter, the general. She tore it open and unfolded 2 pages. Her father's voice spoke through carefully chosen words. Olivia Marie Ward. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. And I'll have taken my pride with me to the grave. The room fell silent as death. I was wrong about you. Wrong about your service. Wrong about your choices. Wrong about everything that mattered. Her mother's face had drained of all color. You became everything I pretended to be. A real soldier. A real leader. A real hero. While I spent my life playing dress-up in old uniforms, Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his expensive chair. I watched the news coverage of your promotion ceremony. Saw the respect in those soldiers' eyes. The love in their salutes. The family you built from courage and sacrifice. Sarah's designer handbag slipped from nerveless fingers. I spent 20 years telling you there was no room. But the truth is, I was afraid. Afraid you were better than me. Afraid you had earned what I never could. Olivia's voice cracked but continued reading. The money means nothing. The house is just wood and memories. But your service, your sacrifice, your strength, that's the real inheritance. The letter trembled in her hands. I'm proud of you, General Ward. Prouder than I ever had the courage to say. You built a family worthy of your heart. You chose honor over comfort. You chose service over safety. You chose to be better than your father ever was. The silence stretched like a held breath. Keep building that family, Olivia. Keep serving that honor. Keep being the woman I should have supported. The daughter I should have celebrated. The general I should have saluted. All my love and respect. Colonel Thomas Ward. Your father, finally. The room remained frozen in uncomfortable revelation. 20 years of assumptions shattered like glass. 20 years of justified anger suddenly complicated. Her mother's voice barely whispered. He never told us he'd written this. Never said he'd changed his mind. Marcus stared at the table. All those years, he defended his position. Said you'd made your choice. Said we'd made ours. Olivia folded the letter carefully, placed it in her uniform pocket. Over her heart. He was right about one thing. I did make my choice. I chose the family that chose me back. I chose the people who made room. I chose honor over inheritance. She moved toward the door. You can keep the money. Keep the house. Keep the guilt. I have everything I need. The conference room door closed behind her. On 20 years of manipulation. On a lifetime of conditional love. On a father's letter that came too late. But validated everything she'd already learned. Family isn't blood. Family is choice. And some choices can't be undone. Not even from the grave. The hospital parking garage echoed with General Olivia Ward's footsteps. Concrete pillars cast long shadows in the fluorescent twilight. Her hands shook as she fumbled for her car keys. 20 years of military composure cracking under family manipulation. The letter burned against her chest like shrapnel. Her father's words, too little, too late, too complicated. Marcus's voice still rang in her ears. Shield for cash. Disappointing daughter. Military compensation. The stress hit her nervous system like incoming mortars. Suddenly, the parking garage walls dissolved into desert sand. The fluorescent lights became harsh. Afghan Sunday. The echo of footsteps transformed into gunfire. The 15th of October, 2017, Helmand Province, Afghanistan. Lieutenant Colonel Olivia Ward crouched behind a crumbling mud wall. Taliban fighters had surrounded her 12-person patrol. Automatic weapons fire chewed chunks from their concrete shelter. RPG explosions sent geysers of sand skyward. "Colonel, we're pinned down hard." Sergeant Chen's voice crackled through radio static. "They've got high ground on 3 sides. We're sitting ducks here." Olivia pressed her back against the wall. Hot metal fragments whistled overhead like angry hornets. Her radio operator, Corporal Williams, bled from shrapnel wounds. Private Rodriguez clutched his rifle with white knuckles. Fear made the desert air taste like copper. "How many rounds left?" Olivia called out. "2 magazines, Connell." "Same here. Running low on everything except prayers." The Taliban fighters moved closer with each passing minute. Muzzle flashes winked from rooftops and alleyways. Death approached with methodical precision. "Colonel Ward, what are your orders?" 12 soldiers looked to her for salvation. 12 lives hanging on her next decision. 12 families back home, counting on her judgment. The tactical situation was textbook impossible. No air support available for 40 minutes. No reinforcements within 50 miles. No escape routes that didn't run through killing fields. Olivia studied the terrain with desperate calculation. One option remained, suicidal but potentially effective. A frontal assault across open ground. Drawing fire while her soldiers flanked left. It meant running straight into Taliban guns. It meant probable death for maximum tactical advantage. It meant choosing her soldiers' lives over her own. "Listen up, people." Olivia's voice cut through the gunfire chaos. "I'm going to draw their attention. When I move, you flank left hard. Use the irrigation ditch for cover. Get to the extraction point." Sergeant Chen's eyes went wide with understanding. "Colonel, that's a suicide run. You won't make it 20 yards. Maybe not. But you will. That's what matters." She checked her rifle one final time. 30 rounds between her and eternity. 30 chances to buy her soldiers time. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Olivia vaulted over the wall like an avenging angel. Her boots pounded against hard-packed earth. Taliban fighters swung their weapons toward her movement. Automatic fire stitched patterns in the sand around her. She sprinted in zigzag patterns across the open ground, drawing death away from her soldiers. A bullet creased her left shoulder. Another shattered her helmet visor. Hot metal sang its deadly song. But her soldiers were moving, flanking left through the irrigation ditch, using her sacrifice to gain tactical advantage. 50 yards became 40. 40 became 30. 20. 10. Olivia dove behind a supply truck. Metal sparked as bullets found their mark. But her radio crackled with beautiful news. "Colonel, we're in position. We have clear shots. Light them up." The firefight ended in 90 seconds. 12 Taliban fighters neutralized. 12 American soldiers walking home. 1 lieutenant colonel with new scars. And absolute certainty about what mattered. The parking garage materialized around her again. Fluorescent lights humming their electric song. Concrete walls, solid and real. Her hands had stopped shaking. The letter still pressed against her heart. But its weight felt different now. Lighter somehow. Like burden transformed into armor. Marcus's words echoed again in her memory. Shield for cash. Military compensation. Disappointing daughter. Olivia almost laughed at the absurdity. These people who had never faced enemy fire, who had never made life or death decisions, who had never chosen others over themselves. These people thought money motivated her service, thought inheritance drove her choices, thought greed explained her sacrifice. They understood nothing about honor, nothing about duty, nothing about real family. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Diana Torres answered on the second ring. Liv, you sound different. What happened? Just remembered why I became a soldier. And why I stayed one. Want to grab a beer and celebrate. Celebrate what? The fact that I survived the Taliban. Diana's Texas laugh rumbled through the speaker. And you think some family drama will break you? Exactly. Where do you want to meet? That little place near Arlington. Where real soldiers drink. On my way, General. On my way. Olivia started her car and pulled into traffic. The will reading already felt like ancient history. The family manipulation seemed small and distant. Like echoes from another lifetime. She had faced enemy fire for her country. Bled for her soldiers. Nearly died for perfect strangers. Family greed was just another firefight. And she had already won the only war that mattered. The war for her own soul. The war for chosen family. The war for honor over inheritance. Some battle test your courage. Others test your character. This one tested her resolve. And General Olivia Ward had never failed that test. Not in Afghanistan. Not in a hospital conference room. Not ever. The radio played country music as she drove. Songs about family and loyalty and home. But Olivia knew where her real home was. In the bonds forged under fire. In the trust earned through sacrifice. In the love that asks for nothing and gives everything. She survived the Taliban. Family greed was just target practice. And she never missed her target. Not when it mattered. Not when honor was on the line. Not when real family was watching. The highway stretched ahead toward Arlington. Toward her sisters in arms. Toward the only celebration that mattered. The kind that honored service. Instead of exploiting it. The kind that built families. Instead of destroying them. The kind that lasted. Forever. 3 months after the will reading, General Olivia Ward sat in her attorney's office. Stacks of legal documents covered the mahogany conference table. Property deeds, financial statements, and scholarship foundation paperwork. The family estate had officially transferred to her name. Per her father's final wishes hidden in legal subsections. A last surprise that her siblings had overlooked completely. So the house, the investments, everything goes to you. Attorney Margaret Chen flipped through the final pages. Your father was very specific about the contingency clauses. If any heir contested the will, everything defaulted to you. Olivia smiled with grim satisfaction. Her family's greed had triggered their own disinheritance. Marcus and Sarah had filed legal challenges within days, claiming undue influence, questioning their father's mental capacity. Every lawyer's letter sealed their fate more completely. What would you like to do with the estate, General? I assume you want to move into the family home. Actually, I want to sell everything. Convert it all to cash. Every last penny. Margaret's eyebrows rose with professional surprise. That's a considerable sum, nearly $3 million. Are you sure about liquidating everything? Absolutely certain. I want to establish the Fallen Heroes Education Foundation. Full scholarships for veterans' children. Starting with the kids of soldiers I served with. The attorney's expression shifted from surprise to admiration. That's incredibly generous, General. And incredibly fitting. Your father would be proud. My father had 40 years to be proud. This isn't about him anymore. This is about honoring the people who actually mattered. 2 weeks later, the Richmond Times-Dispatch ran the headline. Local general establishes $1 million Veteran Scholarship Fund. The article featured a photograph of Olivia at the announcement ceremony, surrounded by Gold Star families and veteran support organizations. Her biological family was notably absent from the coverage, but her chosen family filled the front rows. Diana Torres had flown in from Texas. Carmen Rodriguez drove up from North Carolina. Ashley Kim took leave from Air Force duties. Real family showing up when it mattered. The reporter's questions focused on the scholarship criteria. General Ward. How will recipients be selected? Academic merit, financial need, and character references. With priority given to children of fallen service members. What inspired this particular use of your inheritance? Olivia's response was measured and deliberate. These scholarships honor promises I made in combat zones. Promises to never forget the sacrifice of my soldiers. Promises that their families would be cared for. That their children would have opportunities. A young reporter raised her hand eagerly. General, this breaks from traditional Ward family philanthropy. Your grandfather funded country club scholarships. Your father supported business development programs. What about continuing the established Ward family tradition? The room fell silent with anticipation. Olivia's response would define her legacy. My tradition is keeping promises to the fallen, not fighting over inheritance. The Ward family tradition I choose to continue is service. Real service. To people who earned it. Scattered applause grew into thunderous approval. Gold Star mothers wiped tears from their eyes. Veteran fathers nodded with understanding. This was leadership they recognized. This was honor they respected. Later that evening, Olivia's phone rang constantly. News outlets requesting interviews. Veteran organizations offering partnerships. Community leaders expressing gratitude. And 3 furious family members demanding explanations. She ignored the family calls completely. Let them rage into voicemail. Let them discover their powerlessness the hard way. Marcus's message was predictably entitled, "Liv, this is insane. You can't just give away the family legacy. We need to talk. Call me back immediately." Sarah's voicemail dripped with fake concern. "Olivia, honey, I think you're having some kind of breakdown. This isn't like you. Maybe you should see someone. A therapist or something." Her mother's message was pure manipulation. "Darling, I understand you're angry. But this hurts the whole family. What will people think? What will the neighbors say?" Olivia deleted each message without finishing them. Their opinions had stopped mattering 20 years ago. The only voices that mattered were calling with gratitude. Lieutenant Rodriguez's widow called to thank her personally. "General Ward, Miguel would be so proud. Our daughter can go to college now. Because of you. Because you remembered." Sergeant Chen's parents called from California. "Our grandson will be able to study engineering. Marcus always wanted to build bridges. Now he can. Thank you for keeping your promise." Staff Sergeant Williams's father left a voicemail. "General, my boy always said you were different. Said you cared about the people, not the politics. This proves he was right. Thank you for honoring his memory." Each call reinforced her decision. Each conversation validated her choice. Each thank you proved what family really meant. The next morning brought unexpected visitors. Marcus and Sarah stood at her apartment door. Expensive suits and desperate expressions. "Liv, we need to talk. About the foundation. About the money. About family." Olivia leaned against her doorframe. "There's nothing to discuss. The decision is final. The papers are signed. The scholarships are funded." Marcus's face flushed with impotent rage. "You had no right to give away Dad's money. That was our inheritance, too. You stole it from us. I earned it. By being the daughter he was actually proud of. By serving something bigger than myself. By keeping promises to people who mattered." Sarah tried a different approach. "Think about the family name. The Ward legacy. What people will remember. I am thinking about the Ward legacy. I'm creating one worth remembering. One based on honor instead of entitlement. One that serves others instead of serving ourselves. The siblings exchanged helpless glances. Their manipulation tactics had no power here. Their emotional blackmail fell on deaf ears. You'll regret this, Liv. Marcus's parting shot lacked conviction. When you're old and alone, you'll regret this. I won't be alone. I'll be surrounded by the families I helped, by the students I educated, by the promises I kept. That's more family than you ever gave me. The door closed on 20 years of dysfunction, on a lifetime of conditional love, on a legacy she refused to inherit. 3 days later, the first scholarship recipients were announced. 12 young people would attend college debt-free. 12 futures secured by sacrifice remembered. 12 promises kept to the fallen. The Ward family tradition had been redefined. Not by accident of birth, but by choice of character. Not by what was inherited, but by what was earned. And what was given away. For something greater than self. For something lasting. For something true. 6 months later, General Olivia Ward stood on her new front porch. The modest 2-story house overlooked Arlington National Cemetery. White marble headstones stretched toward the horizon like eternal formations. Her real family rested there in perfect rows. The American flag snapped crisp in the autumn breeze. Red, white, and blue against October's golden sky. She had purchased the house with her first general's paycheck. Not her father's money, which belonged to fallen heroes now. Her own earnings, her own choice, her own sanctuary. Inside, laughter echoed from the kitchen. Diana Torres was attempting to cook Texas barbecue. Carmen Rodriguez offered unsolicited culinary advice in rapid Spanish. Ashley Kim documented the chaos with her phone camera. Weekly dinners had become sacred tradition. 4 women who had survived war together, now navigating peace with the same fierce loyalty. The phone rang from inside the house. Olivia recognized the ringtone immediately. Her mother's number, calling for the 4th time today. She let it go to voicemail, like she had for the past 6 months. Some conversations weren't worth having anymore. Liv, you going to get that? Diana's voice carried from the kitchen. Your phone's been buzzing all afternoon. Nothing important. Just ghosts trying to resurrect themselves. Olivia settled into her porch swing. The same swing where she reviewed scholarship applications. Where she read thank you letters from military families. Where she found peace in the quiet moments. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Then another. Then 5 more in rapid succession. All from the same 3 numbers. All saying variations of the same desperate plea. Please call us back. We need to talk. Family is family. We're sorry. Give us another chance. Olivia deleted each message without reading them completely. Their apologies rang hollow after 20 years of silence. Their sudden interest felt calculated and self-serving. Their family claims meant nothing to someone who had built better. The front door opened behind her. Carmen emerged carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. Thought you might be thirsty out here. And thought you might want company. She settled into the porch chair beside Olivia. 2 warriors enjoying the peace they had earned. You know, I never thanked you properly. Carmen's voice carried weight of old memories. For what you did in Kandahar. For choosing us over yourself. For being the kind of leader worth following. Olivia smiled at her chosen sister. We all chose each other that day. That's what real family does. Chooses to show up when it matters. The phone rang again from inside the house. This time, Ashley answered with military efficiency. General Ward's residence, Lieutenant Colonel Kim speaking. Her voice carried through the open windows. No, she's not available. No, I can't take a message. No, she will not be calling you back. Have a pleasant evening. Ashley appeared on the porch moments later. Your mother seems very persistent. And very entitled. Want me to change your number? Not necessary. Sometimes the best response is no response. Silence speaks louder than arguments. Diana joined them on the porch. Barbecue sauce stained her apron like war paint. Food's ready, ladies. Texas style. No compromises. Just like we like everything else in life. They moved toward the dining room together. 4 women who had learned to celebrate small victories. Who had mastered the art of chosen family. Who understood that love was earned, not inherited. The dinner table was set for 4. No empty chairs for absent fathers. No place settings for estranged siblings. No room for people who had made their positions clear. Just genuine laughter and shared stories. Just understanding that required no explanation. Just family that had been forged in fire. Halfway through dinner, the phone rang again. This time, Olivia answered it herself. Hello. Olivia. Thank God. Her mother's voice cracked with manufactured desperation. We've been trying to reach you for months. I know. We need to talk about the family. About reconciliation. About moving forward together. Olivia looked around her dining table. At Diana's Texas grin and sauce-stained fingers. At Carmen's animated storytelling in 2 languages. At Ashley's quiet contentment and genuine smile. At the family she had chosen. The family that had chosen her back. I already have a family. The words came out calm and final. No anger, no bitterness, no malice. Just truth spoken with quiet power. But Olivia, we're your real family. Blood is thicker than water. We've made mistakes, but we can fix this. Number. The single word carried 20 years of strength. 20 years of learning to value herself. 20 years of building something better. But sweetheart, please. We love you. We want you back. Number. You can't just shut us out forever. We're your mother and siblings. We deserve another chance. Number. Each repetition grew stronger. Each refusal, more confident. Each boundary more clearly defined. This is ridiculous, Olivia. You're being unreasonable. Family is family. You're right. Family is family. And my family is here with me. People who showed up when it mattered. People who made room when others wouldn't. People who earned their place through love. The silence on the other end stretched long. So that's it. You're just done with us. After everything we've been through. I was done 20 years ago. When you told me there was no room, I just finally learned to accept it. And build something better. Goodbye, Mom. The line went dead. Olivia set the phone face down on the table. Her chosen family watched with understanding eyes. New judgment, new questions, new demands for explanation. Just support for a decision long overdue. You okay, Liv? Diana's voice carried gentle concern. Better than okay. I'm free. Free from expectations I could never meet. Free from relationships that cost more than they gave. Free to love the people who love me back. They raised their glasses in spontaneous toast. To chosen family. To earned respect. To the quiet power of no. To building something better than what we inherited. Outside, the American flag continued its eternal dance. A symbol of service, sacrifice, and honor. Everything Olivia had learned to embody. Everything her chosen family understood. Everything her biological family had never valued. The phone would ring again tomorrow. And the day after. But Olivia Ward had found her voice. Had learned the strength of silence. Had mastered the power of a single word. Number. Simple, final, liberating. The word that had set her free. To serve her country with honor. To love her family with purpose. To live her life with dignity. On her own terms. Forever.